Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
All right, welcome to episode 74 of Powerlifting and Power Ballads. I am flying solo in terms of hosts go. Laura does not have any power, so she's sitting this one out. But we are joined by Siraj Saeed, who is the owner of Truborn Strong. He is kind of the brain trust behind the Truborn Rookie Rumble meet that's happening this weekend. Siraj, welcome to the episode.
Thanks for having me, man.
So let's get started. Just tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into powerlifting, all that good stuff, and kind of the idea with, you know, what made you decide to put your effort behind a rookie meet.
Well, I'll keep it short and sweet. I've been training for about like 8+ years now. My first job was like back in Beaufort at a boot camp back in the day. And then I went slow in my main business was group training for a long time. Then I slowly introduced myself into one-on-one training in Johns Creek, where I worked at Crunch for a while. And I actually got introduced to powerlifting back in the day by a guy that was going to a USAPL meet in Savannah. I think it was like 2014 or 15. And I was super excited to go to that one. I actually signed up for it and was training for it. But then I got like an injury because I didn't really know what I was doing. So it made me kind of focus on more corrective exercises and training myself to get better in understanding of more powerlifting. But I didn't really focus it because I was still like a new personal trainer for a long time. Then I went to owning my own small business at Red Core Fitness in Johns Creek and Alpharetta with a partner of mine. After that, we went to Lifetime. And that's kind of when I was working at Lifetime, I really started blooming into like powerlifting because I knew a lot of strong Olympic lifters and some powerlifters in that area. And that's when I actually registered under your class in the coaching program and got certified for USAPL coaching. And I was like really passionate about it and wanted to grow up with the people. So I started off with 4 to 5 powerlifters, took them to the last year's probably 2020's Viking Savannah meet for the first time. We weren't officially Truborn yet, but it was my first meet to coaching. And I was like, all right, one of the bigger meets in Georgia, I'm going to coach my first meet there, right? And I wasn't Truborn yet at the time, but then we did really good. We got a girl break like 3 state records. A lot of new people were doing really well. And I just fell in love with it. And then I started continuing going from there and went to the state meet where I actually was with you guys, with both you and James, but at the podium. And like after that day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to quit Lifetime and open my own powerlifting business. So then that's when I started really, really focusing on powerlifting, getting more coaching, getting more certifications and better understanding about the sport. Asking you questions, asking James questions, and talking to Kathy, who's the state chair. She's actually one of the bigger reasons why Truborn Rookie Rumble was starting off, because me and her were working out together from time to time. And she always had the idea of having a rookie meet. And I was like, you know what? Truborn is a rookie team. We're not even a year old. If you think about it, we're about to hit a year old in February when the business actually started. We actually was established as an LLC where, you know what? Truborn is a rookie team and a ton of my lifters are rookies. We're not even a year to 2 years at it. And you guys have been doing it for 5+ years. And I love the fact that getting people that never done it before to have never tapped into the potential of powerlifting and how it's actually helped change people's lives. I think that's a big reason why I wanted to kind of go into the Rookie Rumble, is because it's changed not only my lifters' lives, but also I want to see like how the sport can grow as a community. And me and Kathy were bouncing ideas for a long time. She was like, you know what? Let's get going. Let's actually get this started. And I was like, I will sponsor the whole thing. I want to be able to help grow this Rookie Rumble and have all my lifters who are rookies and be mentors and volunteer and help build up this community. Because over the year that we've been in it, we just love the sport. You don't understand like how it's not only helped me find a way to build my business and what made me passionate about it, but like it's also helped my lifters change their lives.
Yeah. 2 things stand out about you to me. brace yourself. No,
I'm ready.
Number one, I met you like you said, during the coaching certification course. I was one of the instructors. I met you through there, and a lot of people always say that they want to get their certification and learn and start their own club and get a team together and things like that. Very few actually follow through with that. So I think that was the first thing that kind of stood out, is like you actually are doing it, which props to you. That's not an easy thing to do, but I tell you what, it's very rewarding. Second thing is the sponsoring the rookie meet and kind of, helping put that on and sponsoring it, et cetera. The majority of people don't put themselves out there like that to solve a problem, I guess. Like you guys, like you said, you're a new team and you wanted to have an opportunity for other new lifters. And you, like you said, you got with Kathy and made it happen. So, props to you on that, because, it's very easy to armchair quarterback this thing and say, man, there should be a rookie meet for people. There should be blah, blah, blah. There should be this, there should be that. I mean, you're actually stepping up and doing it. So I appreciate that. And that's actually, those are the main reasons I actually had you on here. Because I respect what you're doing and what you're continuing to do, what you have done. And I think that, more people just need to, I don't want to say throw caution into the wind and go for it, but you know what I mean? Like at some point you want something done, you just have to do it. And you're stepping up and making that happen. And I think that's huge for the sport. And I appreciate that. So,
yeah. I mean, like a lot of people in our team, just like there are people that never worked out. I have a lady, Janice. She was a lady that never played sports her whole life, and she's in her mid 50s and was like, "Hey, I've been struggling some like weight pain, some weight loss goal. I want to have some weight loss goals, and I want to get stronger, feel more comfortable in her skin." And like she was one of my first powerlifters. She was like, "Hey, you know what? After like 6 months of training her, I was like, you know what, you want to try powerlifting? It's really fun. I mean, you can get stronger and feel more comfortable." And then she just slowly just fell in love with the sport. And she was the first time in her life she was able to be called an athlete. Like she's an athlete her whole life, and she was never been called an athlete. And now she can say, I'm a powerlifting athlete.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And, I've had similar experience in the past too. Like, people don't realize what they can do until you show them what they can do. Right.
Right.
And give them the opportunity to shine. So yeah, I think that's awesome. So on the note of the meet that's this weekend, it's on Sunday. Do you want to talk about it a little bit? Just some of the details of it, or?
Right now, yes, the meet is going to be at No Excuse CrossFit in Suwanee, where it's going to be in the AM sessions. We got women and youth lifters competing starting at 9 a.m. and at the PM we got all men starting at 1:30 p.m. We're gonna have sponsors like a Smoothie. I think excuse me if I can't remember their name. Smoothie, Cafe de Casa, and like 100% Chiropractics. Valhalla is gonna be there. We're gonna have all different kinds of sponsorships that are gonna be going to like help support it. A lot of it's people that I've known and worked with in the past.
You forgot one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Veronica hairstyle. So
I was referring to you, but
oh yeah, and me. And Veronica Hair Salon and me. Truborn, yes. I forgot about that. Well, yeah, it's in the name. Truborn Rookie Rumble. But yes, we're sponsoring it. We want to make sure that we get everyone helped out any way that we can. We got raffles happening. We have 2 raffles in the morning, 2 raffles in the evening, both filled up with goodie bags, one for the lifters and one for anyone that signs up, that shows up to the competition, not like for guests or anybody like that. We just want to make this event fun. We want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable coming to this competition. All the volunteers are former lifters. All the mentors not former lifters, current lifters, and mentors are current lifters. And we want to make sure it's as seamless as possible, because I know like even as our first meets, you have so many questions of like call outs, getting set where to go, getting set up, putting your numbers. And we have all the people there helping you to get ready for that.
And talk about the mentorship a little bit, if you could, because that's something that's new. It's not been done in Georgia before. So kind of talk about that. I think it's pretty cool.
So Kathy was the main person that came up with the idea to have mentors that are current USAPL athletes to come help rookies. Like basically that, hey, you're in charge of these 2 new rookies that have never been to a competition, and you got them help them with any questions like their singlets, putting weights on the bar, having directions when to get ready, get warmed up. It's going to make it as seamless as possible, making and helping them feel more comfortable about what they do. So we have like a couple of my athletes have like two or three rookies underneath their belt, and they basically answer questions. Like we had one ask about what shoes they need to bring, what singles they need to do, what time should they warm up, what time are their weigh-ins. And it's cool because it's like you have like the current person that's has competed in the past to give them their not only experience that they had at a competition, but it's also more personalized to them. It's like, hey, this is what we can do to make it more seamless for you. And like, of course, they asked I know you have Jenna Weinstein that's going to be a mentor as well. And I have like a couple of people being there. They're just, if they have any questions, we can also answer it for them as well.
Yeah, I think that's super cool because I think that's a big barrier of entry for people, is just not knowing what they're getting into. I actually talked about this a couple episodes ago. Like one time I went to do some arm wrestling with some friends. I didn't want to, I wasn't sure I wanted to go because I was, not sure what I was getting into. And this is, I think, the same thing, especially if you've never been an athlete or never done any type of competition before. Like just having somebody just break it down in the simplest form for you, walk you through every step of it, I think is super cool. So yeah, props to you guys for coming up with that.
Yeah. And also it makes it a little bit easier because it's not a coach. I think it's just more approachable because, hey, we're also an athlete that's also done it. It's not as intimidating, which I think is a big deal. Because I think sometimes when somebody's new, they hear coach, it's like, oh, okay, I got to really tighten up my game. It's like, oh, it's just a mentor who's actually competed. And it's just also another athlete to help out.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great thing. And it's, it's something it's really unique, I think, because that's not typically something you see in a lot of sports. Like you don't see other athletes there just like volunteering their time to walk new athletes through the sport. So I think it's pretty cool.
Right.
For sure. Is there anything else you want to mention about the meet before we kind of move on?
Other than that, everyone who listens to this podcast who is either current athletes or rookie athletes, I just want them to say, hey, bring your friends and family. We want to make this as big an event as possible. As big as like the state meet that we have, like 200 plus meet. We want to make sure that we do this meet every year. And I'm happy to sponsor it every year at the beginning of the year. Because one thing for sure is one is a great way to start the new year. Great way to have somebody brand new to look forward to in the beginning of the year. And also, when they have to sign up, it gets them be able to get registered for other competitions throughout the year. Because when they start that USAPL membership, that membership lasts for the whole year, and they'll be able to feel more comfortable with them to go compete at other competitions. Either reaching out to coaches like you or myself to be like, hey, I want to do this on a regular. And I think that's the big thing for sure. It's like we want to make it fun and exciting and welcoming to anyone to the powerlifting community.
Yeah, and I think the meet sold out, right?
Yeah, we're sold out.
It's sold out. So I assume, again, this is an assumption on my part, I assume there are people out there that wanted to get into it that didn't. And I assume there are people out there that were probably not quite ready to pull the trigger on signing up that are interested in competing. I would definitely recommend coming out and watching, because some of the, again, talking about that barrier of entry, showing up and experiencing what it's like is going to make you that much more comfortable and hopefully make you willing to get on the platform next time.
And one thing for sure, I know you said many, many times, is volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. Like the volunteers make the sport. It's going to make it keep going and going and going. Volunteering, actually feeling and seeing the experience for what is going on at a competition. Like for myself, this kind of dates me, is like, I volunteered my first competition, the Holiday Havoc. I never volunteered as many competitions I've been, but I volunteered my first one as a spotter. And man, I appreciate those spotters way more now than I did before. I was like, man, it's just hard work, but they will be there for you guys. And our spotters and loaders are great support for the team.
Yep.
And
Yep. I agree. And there's just so many little aspects of the sport that you can kind of get that behind the scenes look at and learn when you're volunteering too, that, either go underappreciated or just unknown, that will come back and bite you at some point if you don't know. just little rules, little things that you will experience other coaches, other lifters, working through. So I think it's just, to me, it's the best way to learn. Most bang for your buck, I guess, is getting in a meet and volunteering. So,
yeah.
So speaking, we're going to do a little plug here. So we definitely have some more meets coming up that just were added to the calendar recently. So the Georgia Ladies of Iron is going to be in Lawrenceville, Georgia in April 30th. May 21st will be the Savannah Showdown in Savannah, Georgia. And July 30th will be the Atlanta Open in Atlanta, Georgia. So those are all just recently added to the calendar. That's in addition to the state meet that is February 19th and 20th. Registration closes for that soon, so make sure you guys sign up if you're interested. And then the Military Nationals is going to be in March as well. So, and the Rookie Rumble this weekend. Right. I guess I should mention that again.
Yeah, we got that.
That's the whole too. Point. That's the whole point of this episode, is to talk about that one.
I mean, hey, I forgot that we sponsored it. So all right.
Yep. So cool. So we're gonna pivot a little bit here. We did have a listener question that came in, and I want to get your take on this too, and kind of see what you think. But the question that came in is, do you think that lifters that aren't elects or pro will get lost in the USAPL shuffle? And I believe this question is referring to kind of the whole pro series and the split with the IPF, not being the affiliate to the IPF anymore, things like that. So just off the top of your head, and you can pass and I'll talk about this if you want, but I'm curious to hear your take as well. Especially as a newer team and you got a lot of newer lifters you're bringing into the sport. What are your thoughts? Do you think there's going to be, do you think lifters are getting lost in the shuffle?
So I listened to it for a couple times. I thought about it for a while. It's like, especially with the pro series and like these high level athletes that you see that are competing and pulling some just crazy numbers. But I honestly don't think it's gonna regular lifters are gonna get lost into it. It's like college athletes and like even current high school athletes that are playing football. Do they get lost into like the NFL professionals? I don't think they're. I think even teams like us are like, we still have goals, personal goals as us to help and reach. Yes, we know that these are the high level athletes that they're out there, and help even my lifters are saying, I want to be able to get to like what Russ is pulling in these crazy numbers. And he's like, I'm going to train hard and build up my expectations. A lot of them are young and a lot of them have time to build up a strong foundation to when they get to that level. Maybe they might be able to get to it, but I don't think we're going to get lost in it. I think it's gonna help us be more dedicated. Now, and it really depends on the person. Like some people say, hey, I want to be able to get to that level. I want to be like a pro athlete. Or it's like, oh, you know what? I just want to beat my previous goal at my previous meet. I think the fact that like even like you taught me and James and Kathy has taught me in the past is like just shoot numbers that you're basically competing against yourself. A lot of people say, hey, there's some people and even the state meet have some crazy numbers, but you know what? I want to do the best I can that day. Yep. And I think that's what made me keep going with it. It's like, I want to do the best that I can as an athlete. I want to do the best that Truborn can that day.
Yep. And I think this is an interesting question because, one of the main reasons for, us not, and when I say us, I'm saying USA Powerlifting, for USA Powerlifting not staying with the IPF is because we did prioritize the majority of our lifters, which is not the elite level lifters, because essentially what was being required was us to stop drug testing at the local level in order to be WADA compliant. And we refused to do that because I personally, I feel, and I think, most of the organization feels that, it should be a clean platform and a fair playing field at every single level. Well, to me, that is making it for the local level lifters. That is making it for the regional level lifters. And, let's be honest, the majority of lifters in USA Powerlifting are not going to go pro. And even before the pro series was started, the majority of the lifters would not make it to IPF Worlds. Now, that doesn't mean we're not prioritizing them. That just means, that's the whole, by definition of competition, right? Yeah. So, exactly what you're saying, like, I have lifters that their goal is to, get top 10 in their weight class at the state meet, right? Mm-hmm. I have lifters that their goal is to break an American record. Like, I don't care where you're at. Like there are goals and steps to take to get better. And that's what I think should be focused on. And, I think that's the whole point of, the separation from the IPF is that we can keep that level playing field, that true drug tested competition at every single level so that every single lifter is treated the same. And
I agree. Like it just makes the event, it just keeps it level. It keeps it level. You got people like, I looking at the numbers from what the other countries are doing. I don't want to get into that as well, but like, it makes it more fun. And that's why I think we're staying here under the USA powerlifting. The others were saying it's like, well, now we can't go to IPF. I'm like, well, why do we go to this other federation? Why do we go to this other federation? He's like, you know what? I like the USAPL because it keeps it level for everyone. It doesn't matter it matters that we have to make sure that you are just as equal chances as this person as that person as you are. You want to make sure that it's all as well, just well-rounded.
Yeah. And, no matter what level you're at, whether you're at the Russ Swole level or whether you're at, a very beginner level, like you have competition around you. Like, so everybody has an opportunity to compete and be pushed and, have to work hard and get better. So to short answer to go back to the actual question. No, I don't think any lifters are going to get lost in this. I think it's been a positive change and will be a positive change going forward. It just, it came to a point where we couldn't coexist together the way our values aligned or didn't align, I guess. So, this is where we're at, and that is what it is at this point. Right. So,
and you got to even think about it. There might be like those one or two lifters that you may have. It's like, you know what? I want to try to get to that pro level. And that's their driving force. Like you say, hey, I want to be the top 10 in my state. I want to be, get an American record. You know what? I want to shoot for pro, and you're going to help support that person all the way you can to get to that level.
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Interesting input. I agree with your take on that. And I think that's what people are concerned about is that we're only going to care about the pro level lifters. And that couldn't be that couldn't be further from the truth. Like we care about the entire membership base, and that's the whole idea here. And at the local level, meets aren't going to change. There's still going to be, a lot of really well-run meets at the local level that people, if people aren't following social media, they might not even have known that this happened because at that level, it hasn't changed anything. So,
yeah, exactly. And like, you got like some of my master athletes who was like, what's a pro series?
Yeah.
I'm just there to compete for myself. I'm like, all right. And then you got my 6-year-old girl. She said, what's the pro series? I want to try for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, like I said, that's always another step people can take and work towards. But, for those competing at the local level that are worried about being lost in the shuffle, the level of competitiveness and the level of, competition at the local level isn't really changing. So it's still there.
Right.
Still there. Go get it.
Yeah.
All right. I want to throw the powerlifting situation at you this week. Normally Laura reads it and I answer, but I'll read it this time and you can answer this one. So see what you think here. So you are coaching a brand new lifter in their first meet. They are 8 for 8 on the day. You call 150 kilos for their third deadlift, which would be a 5 kilo, it'd be 5 kilos under their current training PR. So it's not a PR, it's 5 kilos under their PR. The primary goal coming into the meet was to go 9 for 9 and have a great first meet experience.
Right.
Looking at the scoreboard, if you bump that 150 up to 157.5, that would be enough to earn your lifter the bronze medal total out of 10 lifters in the weight class. Do you make the change or stay at 150?
So it's funny that this situation came up because I actually experienced that actual situation beforehand. Like it was at the Savannah meet where I had a girl brand new it was her first competition. It was Savannah after driving 4 hours the day before and was ready to compete. She hit 8 for 8. She got all of her lifts. She did great on squats. She did great on bench. And she was running at like a third place. So it wasn't so much third place, but it was going for second. And she was at third, and what we could do is increase her kilos by 7.5 kilos from her second attempt to her third attempt. And it was not so much that she was going to attempt at least 5 kilos under her her actual training weight, but with the 7.5 increase, she would actually go slightly above her PR and like actually go a little harder than she's a weight that she's never done before. And like she was fired up, and I was just reading her and like the energy that was in the room. And now, and I don't know if you remember the energy between the ladies in the first meet, that they're all fired up and ready to go and pushing each other and wanting to push hard. So I personally decided, it's like, you know what? She's already hit all her personal goals at that meet. She did all the numbers that she wanted to hit. And I didn't tell her that she was going to go up a little bit above her normal weight. I said, go lift that weight on that bar, no matter what. And she was like, all right, I got it. I'm feeling good. She was ready. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And she did it. And even she went from third to placing second, and she did wonderful in her weight class in the open. And it was not enough to get first if she was not enough to get first, but she was able to do something that she's never done before. So I would say I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say this too. There's no right and wrong answer here. I try to make these purposely controversial, just because there are different perspectives and different situations that coaches are trying to accommodate. So yeah, I don't think there's a right and wrong answer. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. Like, I think, I like what you said. We'll put it that way. I like what you said about reading the lifter and kind of knowing where they're at mentally, because if you have a lifter that is, it's their first meet, they're super nervous, after going 8 for 8, they're probably fairly confident. The last thing I want to do with a lifter in their first competition is end with a miss. Like, I want to make sure they're going to make their last lift and end the day feeling like, well, I made all my lifts. I could have done more, versus, oh man, I had such a great day and I ended it with a miss. So that's really my hang up with going up the 7.5 kilos, is the increased likelihood of missing. Now, in your case, she obviously made it, right? So that's the win-win. Like, if you know she's going to make it, then yes, that's 100% the right call, I think. Is going up. And and it's something that I do with my lifters that's probably not always popular at the time with them, but I always put a cap on what my first time lifters are going to lift in the meet. So based on how their training went, like, no matter what kind of day you have, no matter what the placing situation is, no matter any of this is going to be your third attempt max, no matter what.
Right.
And so if that was the case going in, and we had set 150 is going to be the third attempt max no matter what, I would have to really know that they're good for the 157.5 before I put it on. Now, with a more experienced lifter, absolutely every 100% of the time I'm going up and going for the placing, right? Because they've already done their meet where I kept the cap on them, and they've already got the experience and things like that. Now it's time to compete. So, with the new lifter, for me, I'm going to be more on the conservative side, and try to go 9 for 9. And that's really the priority there. Once you get that off the board, you get that 9 for 9 box checked, then it's all about competing. So.
Right. And yeah, I completely understand. Like, I was thinking about the same thing. Like, you don't want a new lifter missing their third or second attempt. You want them to like feel good, like leaving the competition high, head held high, and be able to like feel like they did great. Like, if anything, like if there was a situation where a person missed their second attempt on their bench, and I was looking at them, asking how they feel. They said they just didn't really position themselves the right way. And I was like, you know what? Do you feel like with this, what you learned from this attempt, can you go up? And they were like, if they said, I know what I did wrong, and I can push. I know what I can do. And I did only a 2.5 kilo increase from their second attempt, and they did it. But like, it's just reading that lifter and like just seeing like, hey, how they feel and like what is their mindset, because a lot, especially with like people that have known and trained for a long time, or like somebody that's brand new and is wanting to try to get into the sport. Like you said, I want to make sure they hit all their new attempts. If I never really worked with them long enough, but if I trained this person for like a year and a half and this is their first comp, I'll probably do a little push.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said about the lifter's personality too. Like, if at the end of the day they realize that they only needed 7.5 kilos more they might turn to you and say, I don't care if I didn't even get it off the ground. I wanted the opportunity, so it's
Right.
knowing the lifter too, and how they're going to respond in both scenarios,
Right.
and both outcomes, whether they make or miss, either one of those attempts. So,
Right.
yeah, I think these are fun discussion topics because, like I said, I don't disagree with you. I don't. Your answer was different from mine, and I'll be honest, I'm going to argue the opposite side of whatever you said.
Completely fine.
Yeah. So because I don't think that there is one clear right and wrong answer. So yeah, cool. And I think that's the case with a lot of these scenarios that come up, and some of these things that hell, even training program, like, why is somebody doing this one thing in a training program? It might be right for somebody, it might not be right for somebody else. Like, I think so many people want the one answer for all these things, and that's just not the way it works.
Exactly. Especially it's like cues. You have to, like, I still remember to this day, like, you're asking, like, how would you cue this person to, like, I remember it was in the bench press, it was in the class, and you're asking people, like, how would you cue this person to make sure they're getting their lats loaded? And I still remember, it's like, well, hold the pencil between your lats. And people, like, visualize it immediately, or imagine pretending you're breaking the bar with your hands, like you're snapping a stick. How to get them lats loaded. It's like all different cues, all different things are different for the athlete. You just got to find out what works for you, or like what attempt for them to say, hey, I'm going to push this hard. It's like, you know what, we're going to stick with the plan is. Especially if it's like, this is what I have for you, we're doing this, or it's like, you know what, let's go crazy, let's do it.
Yeah. Yep. I think and it's all, like you said, it's all individual. What clicks for the person is the correct cue, period.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. All right. We're going to move on to the new lifter tip. So the new lifter tip this week. Yes, it's a new year, but that new year feel will fade. The good news is every single day is a new day. Don't lose sight of that opportunity. What kind of sparked this one? I've seen a lot of, people posting their New Year's resolutions and everything, and I think that's great. But what I also see in about 2 weeks is those same people that posted those New Year's resolutions, like, that new car smell is wearing off. Like, they're not as excited about it. Well, I missed a day, I guess it's, thrown in the towel. Well, every single day is a new day. Like, you can change the trajectory of how your, week is going to go, how your month is going to go, how your next year is going to go every single day, starting that day. So I think too many people get, a little bit, I guess, frustrated, or they have a day that's off, and that's fine. You're allowed to do that. I think people don't give themselves enough, I don't know what the word is, they don't give themselves enough of a break sometimes. If you have a bad day, or you miss the gym, or you don't sleep well, or you eat like garbage for a day, like, at the end of the day, so what? Like, get back to it. Don't use that don't let that derail you the rest of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, it's like, if you have a good day, you assess what you are. If you have to adjust the weights, if you have to adjust the sets, or if you have to do anything to adjust for that day, don't let it beat you up. Do what you can. Hit your own personal goal for that day. It's like, you know what, I put in this kind of work. I gave it my all. I made it work and completed it, and keep moving forward, because the next day is going to be better. You keep moving forward. It's like a relationship where you set up these goals. You got the big honeymoon phase of your goals. You're like, oh, this is great. I'm loving this. I'm putting my work and effort into it. It doesn't stop when you're in a relationship. It's like a goal. You have to keep nurturing it every single day. You have to put work. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have to make this grow.
Yep. I agree. So we're about at the 30-minute mark, so we're going to kind of wrap it up here. But before we go, tell everybody kind of more about your team, where they can find you, where you're located, all that good stuff, social media, all that good stuff.
Well, we got our website at trubornstrong.com. You can also check us out on Facebook at Truborn Strong. We have an Instagram page as well. We also started, and we're also in the process of starting a Truborn Strong training app going on right now. Then we're located in the Alpharetta area. We're actually in the process of moving to a new location. So that's coming up really soon. So I'll keep updates on that. We're going to be moving up a little bit up more north in the area. So keep an eye on that. I think we're going to be looking towards late February, March. We're actually partnering up with some powerlifters as well that you may know. I don't know if you remember Izzy one of the best female lifter from last year, and her husband, her fiance Anthony, we're gonna be working together. Hopefully, being able to get a facility big enough where we can host our own meets, not only for powerlifting but for also USA weightlifting as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
So if somebody out there listening is in the area and wants to train with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you? I know you just mentioned all this stuff, but
quickest way is going to be contacting me on my cell phone number at 678-209-3685 or reaching out to us on Facebook and Instagram. That's the fastest way because I will respond within the 30 seconds.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, man. I got it going. I'm like got my phone on with me the whole time for not only for my programs, but also for my business.
Yeah. Awesome. Good stuff,
yeah,
man. Well, hey, I appreciate you being on. I think we covered a lot of cool stuff. I really, like I said, really happy to see the direction you're going with all this stuff. I think it's really refreshing to see, newer teams getting started and not even just getting started, but like exploding. So super cool.
Yeah.
So
I did want to say one thing for sure. I did want to say thank you to you, Josh, for actually giving me that opportunity and helping me grow to that team, saying, hey, you're going to take this coaching course and this is what you got to do. And I want to say thank you to you, James, Kathy, everyone in this Georgia powerlifting, USA powerlifting area.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, man, it's all about paying it forward. And I think that's what you're doing with this whole rookie thing. And, fast forward in 10 years and how many lifters that you started coaching that wanted nothing to do with powerlifting in the beginning are going to be influencing other people getting into the sport.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see and keep track of. It's really cool how it all kind of trickles down and people pay it forward. So
right.
Pretty excited for the future. I think big things are on the horizon for sure.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Yep. So cool. All right, man. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Don't forget to follow the podcast on all major podcast platforms. And if you're on Instagram, follow us at PL Ballads Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. Later.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.